It's 2:47 in the morning, and your phone will not stop buzzing on the nightstand. Your fund manages $500 million of other people's money, and right now, 3 of your biggest borrowers are asking for extensions on loans that were supposed to close last quarter. Your head of compliance is standing in your kitchen at this hour because it could not wait until morning. She says, "If this restaurant chain defaults, we lose access to 2 of our largest limited partners, and once one investor pulls out, they all pull out." You are staring at a credit committee memo you signed 18 months ago, the one that approved this loan, the one with your signature at the bottom. This is level 7. But let's go back to where this really started. Level 1. $0. A cubicle, a login that did not work on the first day, and a signing bonus that barely covered first and last month's rent in a city you had never lived in before. There are 7 levels between that cubicle and tonight's phone call, and here is the number that should scare you a little. Private credit is now a $1.7 trillion industry, bigger than the entire leveraged loan market, and less than 2% of the people who walk into this business ever end up running a fund of their own. Most of them just carry the paperwork for someone who does. Level 1. Junior Credit Analyst. Age 23. Salary, $65,000 a year, before taxes, before the 80-hour weeks nobody mentioned in the interview. Your job is to read loan documents until your eyes blur, building financial models for companies you will never meet, checking covenant compliance on deals worth more than your entire family's net worth combined. Your director, a man named Frank who has been doing this for 11 years and looks like he has aged 20, drops a stack of diligence files on your desk at 6 p.m. on a Friday. He says, "This needs to be done by Monday morning. The investment committee meets at 8. You ask if there is any flexibility. He does not even look up from his screen. There is no flexibility in this business. There is only the deal and whether you get it done. You spend that weekend inside spreadsheets, and you do not see daylight until Sunday afternoon. Your girlfriend at the time calls twice. You do not pick up either time, and you tell yourself it is temporary, that everyone starts this way. This is the first structural problem of private credit. The work never scales down, it only scales up. And there is always another junior analyst right behind you, willing to do it faster and cheaper. Level 2. Underwriter, sometimes called associate. Age 26. Salary, $145,000, bonus included. You are no longer just checking someone else's math. You are structuring the deal yourself now, deciding how much leverage a middle-market manufacturer can actually handle before it breaks. You have learned the vocabulary of the business: unitranche, first lien, mezzanine, covenant lite. And you have learned what happens when you are wrong. A logistics company you underwrote 8 months ago misses its interest payment, and your managing director calls you into a glass conference room. He slides the file across the table and says, "You told this committee this company could handle a 7 times leverage multiple. Explain to me right now why it can't." You do not have a good answer because there isn't one. You priced the risk based on projections that were too optimistic, and now the fund is exposed to a loss that will show up on a report someone reads out loud in front of investors. He tells you quietly that this is the only mistake you get to make at this level. The personal cost here is not the hours anymore. It is the fear, the low-grade permanent fear that lives behind every model you build for the rest of your career, whether you notice it or not. Level 3. Vice President of Originations. Age 30. Salary and bonus, $310,000 a year. You are the one flying out to meet borrowers now, sitting across from founders who built companies from nothing and now need $50 million to keep growing without giving up equity. You are good at this. You close 4 deals in your first year that other VPs could not get past credit committee. But origination has its own tax. You are on a plane 40 weeks a year. You miss your sister's wedding rehearsal dinner because a deal in Charlotte needed a signature that could not wait until Monday. Your mother asks you on the phone gently, "Do you even remember what our kitchen looks like anymore?" You laugh it off, but you do not have a good answer for her either. At a dinner with a borrower in Dallas, the CEO across the table, a woman who has raised capital from banks, private equity, and now you, looks at you and says, "You people always talk about relationship lending, but the moment my numbers dip, you'll be the first ones calling for collateral." You do not disagree with her, because she is right, and some part of you already knows that one day you will be the one making that call yourself. Level 4. Director of Portfolio Management. Age 34. Total compensation, $680,000. You are no longer chasing new deals. You are responsible for a book of loans worth close to $2 billion, watching for the first signs of trouble across 90 different borrowers scattered across a dozen industries. This is where the real weight of the industry lands on you, because origination gets the glory, but portfolio management gets the blame. When a healthcare services company in your book starts missing covenant tests, you are the one who has to walk into the CIO's office and explain it. He is a soft-spoken man named Arthur, who built half this platform, and he does not raise his voice, which somehow makes it worse. He says, "You've known about this for 2 quarters. Why am I hearing about it now, in a meeting with our biggest investor sitting outside that door?" You realize, standing there, that the fund's limited partners, the pension funds, the insurance companies, the family offices, they are not abstract anymore. They are real people whose retirements depend on decisions you make in rooms exactly like this one. Your marriage ends that year, quietly, not because of one fight, but because of 5 years of being present in body only, at dinners, at school plays, while your mind stayed with a spreadsheet tracking 90 companies you have to keep alive. Level 5. Managing Director, Head of Credit. Age 39. Compensation, $2.4 million a year, most of it tied to the fund's performance, which means most of it can also disappear in a single bad quarter. You now sit on the investment committee yourself, the room you used to fear as a junior analyst. You approve or kill every deal above $15 million. The ceiling has not disappeared. It has just moved higher because above you sits Arthur, the fund's founder, a man who built this platform 20 years ago and still owns 60% of the management company. He calls you into his office one afternoon and says, "I need this fund to raise its next flagship at $1 billion, and I need you to be the reason our investors believe we can manage that scale without the losses everyone else in this market is taking right now." You nod, but you understand exactly what he is really saying. If the fund grows and performs, he becomes richer than you can imagine, and you become well paid. If it grows and stumbles, you are the name attached to the failure, and he simply starts over with someone else's signature on the file. This is the year you stop sleeping through the night, not because of hours anymore, but because every decision now has an invisible line connecting it to thousands of retirees who have never once heard your name. Level 6. Chief Credit Officer, then Partner. Age 42. Compensation, including carried interest, close to $4 million in a strong year. You have earned a seat at the table where the fund's entire risk appetite gets decided, and you finally have real equity in the management company, 8%, negotiated over 18 months of quiet, careful conversations with Arthur's lawyers. But partnership does not mean freedom. It means a different kind of exposure. When a lender consortium threatens to pull financing from one of your fund's largest facilities, Arthur turns to you in front of the other partners and says, "You wanted this seat. Now sit in it and fix this before Friday." You spend that week rebuilding a capital structure from a hotel room in Chicago, missing your daughter's 9th birthday over a video call with a connection so bad she asks why your face keeps freezing. That night, you understand something nobody told you at level 1, that the closer you get to the top of any hierarchy in this business, the smaller your actual freedom becomes, because the money is not yours yet. It is only promised to you, contingent on outcomes you cannot fully control. Quick pause here. If you have made it this far into the levels, hit subscribe, because the next series on this channel goes even further behind the curtain. Level 7. Founder and Chief Investment Officer of your own private credit fund. Age 44. Assets under management, $500 million, raised over 3 years from family offices, insurance companies, and one anchor investor who wired $40 million after a single lunch. This is the level everyone thinks is the finish line. You have your name on the door, your own management company, carried interest that could make you generationally wealthy if the fund performs the way the pitch deck promised your investors it would. But the ceiling has simply become invisible instead of disappearing. Your biggest limited partner, a family office representative named Diane, sits across from you during a quarterly review and asks a question that levels 1 through 6 never prepared you for. If we redeem 40% of our commitment next quarter, walk me through exactly how you meet that obligation without a fire sale on your loan book. You realize, in that moment, that you did not escape the hierarchy by starting your own fund. You simply became accountable to a smaller number of people who each control more power over your life than any boss ever did. Your health has already started paying the bill nobody mentioned in any interview, chest pains at 42 that turned out to be stress, not your heart, at least not yet. And a doctor who told you flatly, whatever you're building, it is going to outlive you if you keep going at this pace. Which brings us back to that phone buzzing at 2:47 in the morning. The restaurant chain does eventually default. Your fund does lose access to 2 limited partners, exactly like your compliance head warned you it would. But here is the part nobody tells you at level 1, the part that recontextualizes everything you just watched. The fund survives, not because of you, not because of any decision made in that kitchen at 3 a.m., but because your anchor investor, the family office that wired $40 million after one lunch, quietly extends a bridge facility that keeps your other borrowers from panicking. You find out 2 weeks later that Diane made that call before you even asked her to. She owns 12% of your management company, a stake she negotiated in year 1 that you barely read the fine print on because you needed her money too badly to argue at the time. The person who really runs your empire was never you. It was the capital sitting one level above you the entire time, patient, quiet, and never once appearing in the pitch deck photos anyone shows to new investors. So that is private credit, level by level, $65,000 to $500 million, and a ceiling that never actually closes, it just changes shape every time you think you have reached it. Next episode in this series, we go inside the world of Big Four accounting, from staff auditor to equity partner, and the number of billable hours it actually costs to make partner will make tonight's story look easy by comparison. Tell us in the comments which level in this video felt the most true to what you have seen in your own career, or the one that scared you the most.